All right. Well, hello everyone, and welcome back to the show. We always have a fun one. It's always fun on this channel. If I cry on stream, though, it's not because we're not having a fun time, because someone was cutting onions right next to me. So, someone, no, just kidding. Oh man, am I already frozen? That sucks. Let me fix that. There we go. Okay. All right. And joining me today, sorry about that, we have Eric from Planet Peterson. Welcome to the show.
Thanks. Happy to be here.
How you doing? Having a good day?
I don't really have much to complain about, I guess.
Okay. Well, I believe I don't know if you're on Twitter, but I believe I the first time I saw your handle was you were briefly in the live chat for the debate I had with Inspiring Philosophy, and I've well no hold on a second, I have seen you around. I've seen you around. I had not watched any of your videos until I was doing the background look up for you for our chat today. So welcome, nice to meet you.
Yeah, likewise.
So you video back and sound all good. Oh, thank you. I do freeze easily. It happens a lot. My technology is not great. I'm here in Louisiana. There are often creationists in the wires over here, so things go, whack all the time. So, for anyone who doesn't know, please tell us a little bit about yourself, about your channel. What do you do here on YouTube?
Oh man, that's actually kind of a good question. So, yeah, I started I started doing YouTube like back in 2018 with the goal of like creating science educational material and maybe like becoming the next Crash Course or something like that. That's like my hope and dream. And that went absolutely nowhere. And then during the pandemic, I started just making TikTok videos just kind of for fun. And every now and then one would sort of pop off. And then I thought maybe I could use this to build up my social media platform, whatever. And then do that thing I wanted to do. Yeah, that didn't work either. It turns out that the internet is entirely structured around rage bait and debate content. And so I started talking to, I didn't plan this. I just sort of noticed this is the only thing that works. Okay. So I started talking to flat earthers and stuff on TikTok 3 years ago, maybe a little bit more than that, and reposting those videos in other places and the debating with science deniers. And there's a lot of religious conversations that happen along with that. And that's kind of my main thing. I am now, I do try to post, like fun extra stuff. I did a video today about this guy named Elmer McCurdy that anybody can check out if they feel like. But that's sort of what I do, I guess. I'm kind of like Professor Dave, but a lot worse.
Oh, what's your background in? How'd you come to do what made you pick YouTube as your platform and also TikTok?
Well, I was a teacher for 10 years. I'm not currently teaching. I would like to get back into education. That is an incredibly long story that we will not go over
That's fair.
today.
That's fair.
But yeah, so I just always liked the idea of teaching and being an online teacher to who knows how many people. One day that was always a prospect, kind of like, I was talking about that earlier. That always seemed interesting to me. So I just started making. The original idea with my YouTube channel was I was hoping maybe one day it would kind of get popular, but I was actually making videos for my students specifically because it was curriculum content aligned stuff that I was doing. And then, yeah, TikTok, during the pandemic, I started making YouTube videos like about stuff I want to talk about instead of
Mm,
just curriculum stuff. So one of the premises for one of the videos was can TikTok make me laugh? And so I literally downloaded the app and then started scrolling through it. And the challenge was once I laugh 3 times, the game is over.
okay.
And so that's how I ended up with the app. And then I just like started doing like one of my very earliest videos was me going for a bike ride during the pandemic. And
Mm.
then funny enough, I got hit by a car on that bike ride.
Oh
It was like,
no.
okay, well, bike ride prematurely over, right? And then I tried to make fun little science bites or like factoid things. And like I said, the
Mm,
vast majority of it went nowhere. One day I shared a video where I talked about some really weird things my students said in class, and
mm.
that popped off. I was like, there's no way this is happening right now. It's like it's so like it's so funny to think about back then because it was kind of like me being like, this is what I always wanted and it's happening, right?
Yeah,
And then it's just from there I just started being more deliberate with it, I guess, like making a concentrated effort. It still took a really long time for it to
sure.
really kind of take off, but I was just super persistent with it, I guess.
That's awesome. Yeah, and I was just looking at it. I believe you have like almost 50,000 subscribers. That's great. That's
Mhm.
awesome.
Yeah, way more on
Um,
TikTok. I wish I could just transfer all of my TikTok subs to YouTube because I have 350,000 over there.
you said you have how many?
350,000.
Wow, that's awesome. Yeah, absolutely.
TikTok
Um,
followers are very fake though.
are they?
It's a very different platform.
Okay. I have one because my well, not my wife, my sister and then some of my friends will send me TikToks every so often, but I've never really branched out there. But yeah, I've seen some like I believe Forrest Valkai did that too, didn't he? He like started on TikTok and then like got to YouTube.
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I remember seeing a few of his things. Creation Myth or Dan says the someone is wrong on the internet. Yeah, I can never go to bed because someone is always wrong on the internet. Yeah.
Uh,
Um, yeah, that's awesome.
I learn a lot of stuff from Dan. Dan's a great channel.
He is, yes. If anyone out there is not subscribed to Creation Myths, please do so now. Yeah, I totally get it about teaching. Teaching is awesome. Well, my wife and I just started uh, uh, being professors. What 2 years ago? Yeah, almost. Yeah, almost 2 years ago. And yeah, I love it. It's so great. Well, most of it's great. There's every so often there's a student that makes you want to tear your hair out, but otherwise like being in the classroom and teach them stuff, it is really fun. And that's I also 100% agree. That's a large part of why um, I do the stuff on my channel is teaching. Um, Hello everyone, welcome to the show. Um, so you do debates. You do a lot of debates. I was scrolling your channel yesterday and day before, and it seems like you do a fair number of debates with different people, and not just like anti-science content, but like you do political content and stuff too.
A little bit. I'm starting to kind of get into that wheelhouse. I'm trying to diversify my portfolio and just try to grab some, chronically online people tend to be obsessed with politics, so it's a huge market space. So I'm like, maybe I can entice them with Donald Trump is an idiot video, and then they can start learning about science and stuff too. So that's kind of how I view it.
Yeah, that's fair. We dipped a toe here. I guess it's been a few months now. We did a series of 4 videos, just one after another, uh, that were my or our first foray into political content, and they did fairly well, about normal, except for one. I did the last video in that series was titled "Which Political Party is Better for the Economy?" It's the Democrats, no question. There was actually a paper that came out back in 20. 16, I believe, by Mark Blinder and another guy. I can't remember his name. But anyway, they looked at GDP um, across presidential terms since, well, they start out since Roosevelt or FDR, basically just like um, is has such massive, like, overwhelming GDP growth during his term that it like just completely swamps the data set. But even if you
Right.
remove him, it's still overwhelmingly in favor of Dems, and so it's just a but yeah, that was our first foray. That video did terribly though. No one wanted to watch that one. I don't know if I just gave it a bad name or what.
It's, I mean, what I've learned is when you stray from your bread and butter, YouTube is like, no, no, don't do
No,
that. It's pretty, I don't know. It's pretty sad, but that's just kind of how it is.
that's fair. That's fair. In the I guess in the debates that you have done, what are some like insights that you have from that? Do you think that like all hope is lost, or do you think there is some hope, there's some light at the end of the tunnel, or how are you feeling about that?
I am a general optimist. I really didn't used to be until a book called Enlightenment Now by Steven Pinker
Mm-hmm.
really made me think differently about the way things are.
Mm-hmm.
So that just made me more optimistic just about like my general outlook on things. And then with debates and education, and well, not so much education. I don't know if I'm optimistic about education, but with like debates and like the public, I don't know, the what do you even call it, the public square of ideas or whatever you call it, the marketplace of free ideas, whatever we want to call it. I actually am fairly optimistic about it because one thing that's extremely difficult to remind yourself of is the internet is not a microcosm of our society as a whole. So
Mm-hmm.
like for example, this this is so stupid. I don't want to like spend time on this topic,
No,
but you know
please.
this this American Eagle jeans commercial
Oh,
controversy
with
with Sydney
Sydney
Sweeney.
Sweeney?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So like the fact that this is getting talked about so much and all, it is because let's say the number is even 10,000 people online are
Mm-hmm.
just furious about this commercial, and then on the other side there's 10,000 people that are pissed off at the people that are pissed off about the commercial. 20,000 people is nothing in
Yeah.
this country. It's absolutely nothing. And I'm really sick of the culture wars getting all the attention. To a certain extent, it does kind of change, I think, maybe like the group psychology in a little bit, but that's because it's being forced on us. It's almost
Mm.
like informed consent, but it's the rage machine
Yes.
that the social media companies are. We know they used to deliberately do it. I don't think they're I do kind of trust a little bit that they've dialed that back, but it's just kind of human nature to be drawn to it anyway. So, I mean, even if the algorithm was completely neutral, unfortunately, the way people are is going to make that kind of content just, explode. So,
Yeah, I agree.
I really derailed the conversation there with
No,
that.
no,
But
I agree.
the general point is like all the like the stuff that I do, the mountains of morons that I have talked to, I I don't view the opponents that I find, I don't view the composition of people online as, like I said, a microcosm of our culture in general. So
Mhm.
it's not that bad, you know?
Okay, that's a good way to look at it. I do have. I apologize again. I do have that book on my shelf. It's up there. It's off. It's off. Off screen. But um uh yes, I do have something to say about that. I think that's a very good point. Um the the right wing in this country is, in my opinion, consistently better at using the culture war uh, to push issues on to kind of a formal stage than the left is. And I mean, you
Yeah.
can look at things like whether it's critical race theory or it's DEI right now. It's critical race theory before that. It was affirmative action before that. It was
Yeah.
whether it's
Trans stuff.
multiculturalism, trans stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There's this idea that a big reason Donald Trump won the election is that commercial he did where it said it's actually really funny. It's but where he says Kamala Harris is for they them, Donald Trump is for you, right? And I think that's
Okay.
actually an extremely good message. Or what I mean by it's an extremely effective political message. I disagree with it, but like
Right.
if we're talking about, yeah, well, I mean, it works, right? And like people are pretending that, oh, because that commercial, whatever is, like transcoded and Donald Trump made it about that, that
Mm,
the left's obsession with far left identity, politics, stuff like that is why they like
mm,
it's like, no, because the vast majority of people don't give a shit about any of that. And the
yeah.
central message of that commercial, Donald Trump is for you. Well, we've been going through economic turmoil for years and years and years. And so people want to change politician. And Donald Trump represents that. And so there's it's just an example of people take the rage machine or whatever
Hmm.
the outrage material and they flood TV space and internet space with it, and then it makes people think, oh, this is like the big issue of what's going on. No, 9 out of 10 people care about nothing other than the economy, housing,
Right.
and education.
Yes.
That's it.
That
you
is,
know
and this has been borne out in poll after poll after poll after poll. Like trans issues don't even rank on most polls about like what if you do a top like what are the top 15, 20 issues that Americans are concerned about. I looked at like because I kind of want to do a video on that at some point on the fake outrage and I was looking at polls and trans issues don't even rank for most of them, or if they do it's 20 out of 20.
yeah.
It's that far down. You're right.
And
And
Republicans do that because they have absolutely no plan for anything ever. Ever.
yeah,
The
that's
only
true.
plan they have is to help rich people, which will hurt everybody else. And they can't talk about what they're going to do. So they just talk about what they hate about other people. And there are Democrats that do that, but the Democratic platform at least has people that have commitments to ideas for what we
Mhm.
can do different in this country. There are people on the right that have that.
Yeah.
Josh Hawley is hated by a lot of people, but he actually has a lot of very good principled positions on things like banning stock trading. For example, he was the only
Mm.
person that voted against it very recently. There's some antitrust stuff and labor stuff that he's also very good on, but he's a genuine person. You don't have to agree
Mm.
with him or like him. And he does play into the culture war stuff, but he's a genuine principled person that believes in something. He's not in it for selfish reasons, but he's not where the energy is ever focused at
Right.
any point.
Yeah, I agree 100%. Um, we had a question from I believe it was Andrew who asked, um, do you consider? Oh, this was regarding the paper I was talking about. Do you consider the social sciences like economics truly scientific? I mean, I would say they're soft sciences. There is math in them. There is math in economics. But economics is also a matter of like psychology and sociology. So I suppose
Yeah,
it'd
I
be a bit
mean,
of both.
my view on that is, I mean, we can look at this through the lens of like economics, politics.
Mm,
Well, not really politics, but economics, psychology, sociology, group behavior, and things like that. You're dealing with things that are so unbelievably complex
mm,
that like not even the greatest supercomputer on the planet can even remotely model anything at any part of it. So it's a soft science because it's so incredibly low resolution. But so is predicting the weather. We can predict with extreme accuracy the weather over 48 hours, but beyond that, we're absolutely hopeless. And that's
Mm,
like nobody doesn't think that the weather is anything other than completely deterministic, right? But we just don't
mm,
have the computing power to just know with that much precision. And that's what things like, the economy and human behavior and sociology, it's the same kind of problem, I think.
yeah, absolutely. Um. Okay, so um. Oops. What was it? 468. Okay. Or sorry, 356. So regarding the topics that you tend to cover, all right. Which one was it? Oh, three. It was 346. So regarding the topics you do tend to cover, um, the war on science, as it is often called, like how do you see that um, playing out in the like near future? What do we do about it? What are your thoughts on that? Oh, I can't hear anything.
I muted my microphone. Sorry about that.
Oh, that's okay.
It's kind of hard to say. That stuff I said about being an optimist before, with this, where we're at right now, it's not out the window because I think just ushering in, like, there's going to be political change eventually. And so I can see like the EPA getting funding back. I can see USAID once again uh, helping millions of people with HIV/AIDS across the country. I can see PBS getting better funding again, in the future, right? But
Mm-hmm.
the problem is what kind of damage can be done, in the meantime. And there is also the like a lot of this stuff that's deep. I don't know about you. Did you have any idea that the United States was helping 20 million people around the world with HIV/AIDS before this all started getting talked about like 6 months ago? Because I didn't.
I also didn't.
No, I had no freaking
Yeah.
idea. So, like, one of the problems is when you start axing these things, like, there isn't going to, like, there might not be any political incentive for if we even do get like Democrats or progressives back in the White House or whatever.
Mm,
They might not pursue that because they're just gonna be like, why would we? Like nobody even knew about it, which I think is really stupid because if you're creating new things, you
yeah.
can show the voters, look, we're doing things. It's not even about maintaining the status quo. You're doing something. What you're really doing is bringing something back, but you're kind of doing something new at this point. But the
Mhm.
Democratic Party tries to lose literally all the day. Ever since Hillary Clinton, they've been trying to lose. I don't know why they do that. I think it's because they're a bunch of corporate whores for the most part, but that's just kind of how it is. But anyways,
Oh, I don't disagree. Yeah.
the the reason things are different now is because the anti-scientific thing that's going on right now, it's essentially an ideological endeavor. There have always been, like in the right-wing political atmosphere, has always been full of people that have these ideological commitments or decommitments
Mhm.
from, against, toward, with science, whatever. It's always existed, but we have a book that I would really recommend people read up on that can just kind of help you understand the strengths and the importance of the way the United States government is set up is a book called The Constitution of Knowledge by Jonathan Rauch, or is it Jeremy Rauch? I don't
Okay.
remember. But it's like there's no other book that has that title, The Constitution of Knowledge. It's an extremely good book. And he talks a lot about the fact that compromise is built into our political system, which means one party doesn't get everything that they want because they have to compromise with the other side, and I I do get really depressed about the gridlock that is in our government and the stagnation, the glacial rate of progress that seems to happen. But what's happening now is a lot worse because you have an ideologue and somebody who's totally corrupt. There was just recently in there was a health advisor who recently got fired because he flagged a drug that was coming up because
Mm,
in its trials there was plausible link to patient harm, and he said he flagged that. But then the big pharma people that are backing it were like, "What? We can't have that. We're trying to make billions of dollars." So they tattled on that guy to Donald Trump, and then Donald Trump fired him. So,
mm,
like literally fucking with people's lives in a big way like that because of the corruption piece, which is that, but then the ideological piece. What
yeah.
Donald Trump is doing that we've never seen to this extent before, except for maybe like Abraham Lincoln and FDR, because FDR threatened to pack the courts, and Abraham Lincoln did some things that were horrendously unpopular. He fucking jailed people for writing critical things about the war. Like
Mm,
200 people, I think, were killed in New York during draft riots during the Civil War. I mean, like the vast, like we hold Abraham Lincoln in reverence, but he was doing things at the time that were just so deeply unpopular with so many people. But anyways, I'm going on a lot of tangents here. Donald Trump doesn't give two shits of a fuck about uh the I don't want to call it the status quo, but like the systems we have, the
sure.
reasons why the systems are the way they are, completely ignores all of the norms and customs and laws all the time.
Mm,
And the whole point of that is, well, we have a conservative Supreme Court, so let's just violate the law, and then nobody can challenge us except sometimes the courts. But what we're going to do is we're going to, like, there's been this project to, because he appointed more federal judges than anybody, I don't know about ever, but definitely in modern history in his first term, and then with the conservative Supreme Court. Then they just hope that when it gets argued in front of court, they side with Donald Trump. And they have, to the extent where now if the president just murders his political opponents and just says that was an official act, bro,
yep.
nobody can do anything about it. So that's what's different right now. They're
Mm,
absolutely not playing by any of the rules. It's just like, I don't even, it's like cheating. It's like paying the refs and having the rules during the game that are different only when you have the ball. It's just,
yeah.
it's so I'm not as optimistic because of that, because where my optimism is eroded specifically is what can be lost right now. There just might not be any political will to gain it back, because the Democrats don't care about being successful for whatever reason.
Mm,
Um, and like the damage that can be done between, now and then. So that's where my optimism sort of fizzles away. But
mm,
I do still think, I mean, eventually I think there will be political change. So the war on science might be, we'll see. But I don't know. I forgot about this. Here's the other thing. We now have $1 trillion army, right?
mm-hmm. Yeah.
And the Democratic, no president will ever, unless it's somebody like, I mean, maybe it wouldn't even matter because Congress will never be like this. Um, that's never going to go down, and it's never going to
Yeah.
stay. It's never going to stay flat either. And I remember, when Obama was president, I remember when I was in college and it got to 600 billion for the first time, and I
Mm.
thought, what the fuck are we doing? And now it's $1 trillion, right? I mean,
We're fighting the Decepticons out there, don't you know?
yeah, it's so incredibly stupid. There's absolutely no reason to spend even half that amount of money. I mean, think of what we could do, and this goes to education and science, but think of what we could do if we can keep the tax code the way it is, right? We can use the Republican tax code or whatever, Donald Trump's
Mm,
tax code, um, which just got renewed. We can say we don't have to increase taxes on anything. We're just not going to spend $1 trillion on that, and instead, let's put 2 teachers in every single classroom. Let's increase the number of public schools by 50% to reduce teacher to student ratios,
mm,
right? And like like stuff like we could do stuff like that so easily. It's not even remotely hard. You just have to be invested in it. Instead, we invest all this money and the Pentagon can't even pass the audit, so we don't even know what the hell the money is being spent on. And there's
Yeah.
obviously so much waste, fraud, and abuse in it. And it's just so pathetic. So that's another hugely pessimistic thing for me, I guess, is the priorities are just so completely fucked up. And the Democrats are never going to do anything about that unless, I don't know, unless we can completely ban all forms of lobbying, then
Hey,
maybe
that's a
something
great
will
idea.
happen.
I said that
That's
to a friend of
what I
mine
would
just
do.
this morning. Yeah. Yeah, I'm in that regard. I'm on the progressive or voting for progressives. Yeah, that's why I'm hopeful for people like Mom Donnie and like there's Katie Abigazali. I've seen her on stuff. Here in Louisiana, I believe Gary Chambers is the guy's name, and he's all for like legalizing weed. To your point about the teachers, have you read about what they call like the Mississippi Miracle, where their literacy rate has massively jumped up?
No.
They did essentially that. They had people who would do like one-on-ones with the students who were falling behind, and it caused their scores in like math and reading and so on to jump up tremendously. And you're right. It's like, why don't we do that in every state? We have the ability, we have the money, and the people. We could do that.
Yeah, we literally choose not to. It's really pathetic. We absolutely choose not to. There are some problems like homelessness,
Mhm.
right? That we could house every homeless person, but that's a much thornier issue because that doesn't do anything for the drug addiction, which is the by far the number one reason why people are homeless, which this is something that progressives absolutely don't. They either don't understand or they lie to themselves or they just let themselves get lied to. Like, no, the affordability, the housing affordability crisis causes most home. Like, no, the fuck it does not, you idiots. So I don't know. They're very hopeless on that issue, but um, and then that could, in theory, like incentivize people to be like, wait, free housing? Okay, well, I'll just be a bum. I don't really care. I don't think people in droves would choose to be bums,
Yeah.
right? But there's at least a conversation to be had there. So we choose to do a lot less about homelessness than I think we could, but
Yeah.
it is at least a more complex issue. Education, it just it just fucking isn't. Okay. Now, I agree that you should have vetting and qualified teachers, but we already have a system for that. Like you have to get credentialed, you have to pass background checks, very strict ones. Um,
Mm.
all we have to do is just it, like what I don't know, like throwing all the money at the military. Like, what has that done for us? Absolutely nothing at all. Spending
Yeah.
money in education, I you can argue like we're falling way behind, and I think there are different issues um
Oh, sure.
associated.
Access is going to be a big problem, also. Absolutely.
Well, yeah, that's not the main issue for me. The problem is in education, we pretend that school is the environment. So
Mm.
if we change in structure the environment, then we'll see all these beneficial outcomes in schooling. And
Mm.
by and large, it doesn't actually work that way because we're not the environment. They spend less than half the days of the year with us and only a third of the day, right?
Mm.
So whatever's going on at home, and that's why I think we need like economic security and things so that parents can be more involved with their children because
Mm.
like for me, for example, you know my when I was really young, my parents worked and I was raised by my grandparents. I was lucky enough to be in that situation, but imagine you're not and you have to work two or both parents have to work two or three jobs. That's just not good for a child's long-term outcomes in any
Mm.
way, right? So there the, there are things like that that we need to worry about too. But with education, we could absolutely do so much just from the standpoint of management and reaching the potential that children have. Because like I've been a teacher. I've been in classrooms with 35 kids, where 3 of them can't speak any English, 5 of them are total assholes. And then you got a bunch of other kids that are just average kids that want to learn, but your
Mm,
attention is not driven toward you can't come close to reaching even half the kids, and so people suffer because of that, because we just
mm.
deliberately choose to have a model that is just stupid and ineffective and inefficient.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it is quite sad the how little our education makes up of our like total federal budget is quite sad, and ridiculous. And then we wonder why it's we don't. Well, we wonder why. I guess with the exception of COVID, the like scores for math and reading have been like more or less the same since like the 70s. It's like that doesn't, and it's not great, you know. But another example of something you can um, point to with I wrote it down for back when we were talking about Trump canceling things that are benefiting that are objectively benefiting people. There was a story that came out. Um, I believe I saw it mentioned in Science magazine. There were some grants that were going towards studying mountaintop blasting for I think it's coal mining, um, and
Yeah.
the because there had been a couple of papers how cities or towns whatever that were near these mountains that were getting blasted uh, were developing abnormally large rates of like cancer and these other diseases, and so it's like okay, well there seems to be a link here. And this was during Trump's first term. He actually uh, defunded the programs that were giving the money to these researchers to study this phenomenon. Which,
Yeah.
like, why would you do that? You're saving people from having cancer potentially. Is that not something we want to investigate?
Yeah, and the completely ham-fisted way they're doing things. Look, Barack Obama said elections have consequences. So some of this ideological stuff that Trump is engaged in, I I I don't clutch my pearls so much at it, because it's like that those are the consequences of the way things work. But the stupidity at
Mm,
by which they're doing it, like they just completely banned all research if it
hmm.
has the words diversity in it, for
Yeah.
example, right? So there are people at that are trying to do groundbreaking medical research, and they're
Mm,
getting denied because it says something about genetic diversity in the abstract or in the title. And it's just
mm,
like, nope, blanket ban on anything that has that keyword in it. And it's so incredibly stupid. And we saw, like, he fired all those federal workers, and then they were like, the people on the goddamn nuclear commission were on that, and you fucking fired all of them, and then they had to beg them to come back. Because
right.
like, no, we can't not have that. So they're just their stupidity by which they're doing this stuff as well. Yeah, it's just remarkable.
Yeah. Yeah, Dan is pointing out the point is to undermine all research, all publicly available knowledge, etc. And it certainly seems like that. It does certainly seem like that. They were doing a similar thing with cutting articles that either were pro immigration or pro diversity or whatever on different government websites. They were just like, again, it was basically, I
Yeah.
assume it was just like a, you know, find, they just did like control F and find every article that mentions diversity or whatever.
Yeah, it's weird. I mean, I wouldn't go 100% as far as Dan there. I get the incentive, but Trump is really made of a very kind of weird coalition at this point. Like, people like Mark Andreessen
Mm,
and some of those other venture capitalist people, like, they're actually kind of big time social progressives. Not as much as, like a blue-haired college student or something like that is, but and those people are extremely influential in in a lot of this stuff, I would imagine too, because so many of them are involved with tech.
Mm,
But uh, so I wouldn't say the point is to, down, because like, stuff that's happening with artificial intelligence and things like that. I wouldn't say that there's a deliberate attempt for dumbing down. I wouldn't really say that that's the plan. I do think that that's some people's plan, like um
like Stephen Miller.
yeah, kind of. I mean, he's not like, I don't think he's fighting any kind of intellectual wars. The guy went to Duke University, for
Mm,
crying out loud. But um but he definitely wants to keep people ignorant about certain things because
mm,
he's just an avowed racist sack of shit,
yeah.
right? So he wants, there is a lot of controlling of the narrative. And then I don't know, with RFK it's kind of hard to, it's kind of hard. I don't really see RFK as a censorious type of guy, but he has like, he literally peddled fake studies that didn't exist in whatever that memo or whatever was.
Yeah.
So there's kind of a weird thing that it's a bizarre kind of coalition. I think the most like, if you want to apply the a like framework, or I don't know how to say it exactly, that will be
Mm.
most consistent, it's who's paying him. Go,
I
like, literally go with that. You
or
should look
who's
at his you
clapping
should
for
look at
him.
his pardons. Those are some of the most despicable things I have seen.
Yes.
And it's utterly insane. One guy stole like, what, $40 million or something like that from nursing homes and bought himself a yacht and all this
God.
other horrible shit. So his mom gave Trump $1 million and he pardoned him. And he
Yeah.
doesn't, not only is he not serving any prison time, he doesn't have to pay any of the money back either. It's just
Whew.
the opposite of Robin Hood.
Or I'm not sure where it is now, but I've seen that there are talks about the stuff with Diddy, for instance. He might get a pardon, which is also wild. Um, yeah,
Ghislaine
crazy.
Maxwell's probably going to get one.
That's another one. Yeah, just crazy, crazy, crazy. You're right. RFK is an odd character because for most of his career, he was, for all intents and purposes, fairly liberal. The one
Yeah.
sort of sticking point for him is this just bananas anti-vax thing, and so that's like that one thing has got him in on that because otherwise, yeah, like he wouldn't have associated with Trump at all, otherwise. So it is quite weird. It's a very weird coalition of
Yeah.
people.
His record on doing like environmental justice and things like
Mhm,
that, I really liked RFK 3 years ago.
mhm.
I said to myself, this is probably the guy I would vote for. He got just so goofy. Like, there was so many extra goofy ass things on top of the anti-vax stuff that
Yeah.
started cropping up in the last year and a half. And it's like, what the fuck happened to you? But like, if you go and
Mhm.
listen to he did Joe Rogan like 3 years ago, maybe it was only 2 years ago, I don't remember
Yeah.
exactly.
Something like
But,
that.
like, he rails against the military industrial complex. He rails against fossil fuel companies that are polluting the environment. He rails against the housing affordability crisis, and at every single interval, with every single topic, talks about things that he knows that you could do because he's politically very, very smart, and he just knows how these kinds of systems work. And so it's like, like I was like, I absolutely love every single thing that I'm hearing, because he's not just like, he doesn't deal in talking points. He deals like an actual policy, and he has a record, and he knows things.
Mhm.
But then, yeah, he just became just so utterly insane. I don't know what the hell.
Would you say that overlap could be due to the fact that like R's and D's can both identify problems, but like there's clearly very different mechanisms of like how to solve such problems. Like everyone can recognize like okay, we have like things are getting more expensive, there are like environmental problems and so on, but like there are very different ways to go about these issues depending on which side of the aisle you're on. Do you think that plays into it?
Do I think that plays into what specifically?
Like the the fact that like he can, well, not just him, but like that they're, well, no, because he is more liberal. No, I guess that really wouldn't work in his case. Would you say perhaps more that like for the people who are like around Trump, do you think that's more a case of them, like it's the people who will like the people who will work for him, like they'll just say like, okay, I'm at your service if you need me,
Oh,
and that's like how they just kind of get in
well,
there.
there have been whistleblowers that have come out and said, the way things are now, when you go to work for him, they make you say, Trump won all 50 states in the 2020 election, right? And you have to say yeah.
Right.
Like it is fucked up.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
that speaking of RFK, that blackmail picture, not really blackmail, but that humiliation picture of him eating
Oh, with the
McDonald's on the
McDonald's.
plane, like
Yeah.
it's just gangster stuff. I wouldn't doubt that behind closed doors, this administration is doing some really messed up. Like Kristi Noem, she's been having an affair with Corey Lewandowski, who is his former like campaign manager or something.
Okay.
They've been having an affair for years, and I wouldn't be surprised at all if Trump brought her in and was like, "Yep, well, we got fucking pictures, we got videos, we got text messages. So you're gonna do what we say. You got
Right.
it." I wouldn't be surprised at all if that's what's
Hmm.
happening.
Okay.
Um, Also, like Tulsi Gabbard, he just completely threw her
Yes.
under the bus and undermined her with regard to our intelligence on Iran, sorry, and their nuclear program, where they were at with it, because he's just, I don't know, because well, Marianne Adelson gave him $100 million, or Bibi Netanyahu maybe was like, hey, remember Epstein? Yeah, he worked for us, so we've got the pictures. So you're gonna be okay with us bombing Iran, and there's fuck all you can do about it. So
By the way, for anyone watching, currently I'm reading a book by Stephen Kinzer that is titled "All the Shah's Men." It was about the first time that we overthrew Iran and what a mess that became for us in the Middle East.
yeah,
It's quite good. It's not super long, so if anybody's interested, it's a good book. Um, yeah, that is interesting. So, of I suppose of these, um, with these people, do you think that like with, or do you hope, I guess, that there's going to be a big cultural shift with the next um, election, or do you think it's like going to slowly fizzle? Do you think it's like without Trump able to be in office, it's just going to drop off for the mega people, or how do you think that's going to go?
I honestly think I don't think even though Trump has some of the biggest cult sycophants I've ever seen in my, like, you cannot go against the interests of this guy. Nobody will do it. I think there are a lot of people that want to, they just know that they can't because of how much they'll be destroyed.
Mm,
Um However, I genuinely don't think that anybody else in the country except for like Stephen Miller and God, who else? Steve Bannon. Like there are, and those people would never be able to get voted, right?
right.
Um, I don't think anybody else has the stomach to be the way Donald Trump is. I
Mm,
I I genuinely don't. So I do think that MAGA dies with Donald Trump. I basically really do. Now, has he changed the game on some things? Probably forever. I would say probably on immigration. Yeah, I think the United States is really gonna reckon with the idea of like, look, we can't. We should probably just, um, well, I don't know exactly, but I think a reduction or a slowdown in immigration is probably going to be like a new normal Republican thing. I think Democrats might even
yeah,
capitulate to that.
which I is sad to me, but I think you're right. Unfortunately,
Yeah. So I yeah, I do think that MAGA probably dies with his, hopefully this is his last term. So
yeah,
at least
that's definitely true.
at least there's that.
Oh, um, yeah, JD Vance. I mean, he could definitely run for a presidential term after this.
Yeah, and he's very different. JD Vance uh is one of those guys. I don't know if you remember when the Signal chats were leaked, but
Yes.
JD Vance was the only one kind of trying to speak out because he's very much like no, I don't want the United States to. This is the one thing. This is supposed to be MAGA. It never ends up materializing, but the
Hmm.
MAGA base, at least, really for the most part, are very committed to no more stupid fucking wars. Right?
Nominally, yeah.
That's a really big part. You can find there that turd is polished in a few areas, and that's one of them. And JD Vance is one of those people. So if it's it's a little too bad because Donald Trump isn't going to leave a legacy of that. He's going to leave a legacy on immigration and tax cuts for billionaires and
Yeah.
some trade stuff that could potentially be good, but I haven't really seen him really accomplish anything with respect to that.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I don't know. I hope that incentive stays on. If there's any lasting bastion of MAGAism, I hope it's that one.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It has been fascinating to watch the turnaround for neocons, for instance, who were extremely
Those
pro
those
Iraq.
fucking ghouls.
Well, I mean, they were all pro Iraq war, pro Afghanistan, and nowadays you look at a lot of these same people and they're like, "What? No, that was a terrible decision," which it
Yeah,
was. It was.
Yeah, Lindsey Graham the other day, his head rotated 360 degrees. His eyes rolled in the back of his head. He started levitating and blood was pouring out of his mouth. And he says, "The nation of Israel demands American blood for Iran. Go and conquer Iran. The nation of Israel demands this." It was fucking wild. But yeah, those ghouls, god damn, I fucking hate those people. Um,
Yeah.
oh, those assholes can't die soon enough.
Yeah, it is pretty crazy, because I remember, you know, when I was younger, there were people. I mean, I guess in some ways it's kind of like Vietnam, right? Vietnam was, a lot of people were for it, including, most politicians were for it. Like, you couldn't speak out against it without like losing, all your cred, whatever. And then we had like the failure of the Tet Offensive, and then suddenly public opinion was turning away from the Vietnam War, and it was like, oh, hey, I can finally say this was a bad idea. We shouldn't have gone to Vietnam. I've always been against going to war in Vietnam, actually,
Yeah.
and we're starting to see the same thing now with Afghanistan. Like, oh, because now there was a study that came out that the like quality of life in Afghanistan is worse now after the war than it was, going in. Um, that's different from neocons. Well, see, that's why I said nominally. I think that in a lot of ways, like Trump. I mean, because Trump was, saying like, oh, he started no new wars, but he had more drone strikes than Obama did, and Trump had more drone strikes than Obama did in all 8 years just in his first term. And you had was it enduring freedom and things like that. Those other uh, not program operations missions, whatever, during Trump's first term. So no, I agree. Nominally, they at least the pundits all talk about being anti-war, which I think that's a good shift, right? At least if we can get people talking about being anti-war, I think that's a good thing. Because you're right, we spend far too much money on the military. We spend far too many lives and money on pointless military conflicts. So, yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Um, okay, I'll throw you one final question. I'll last like 5 minutes. What do you think currently is the greatest modern threat to society? What do you see as that right now?
Oh, jeez. Uh, um, it's really tempting to say Benjamin Netanyahu.
Okay, fair.
It's also because he could embroil us in another conflict in the Middle East, which would like literally be globally bad. Um, it's also
Yeah.
really tempting to say AI, but it's
Mm,
such an unknown quantity
mm,
that it's just really hard to say. I can make all kinds of I actually really great sounding um pitches for AI, like literally replacing even all of the white collar workers. It's like, oh my god, it'll destroy society. Uh only if we like let it destroy society, but like there are so many ways I can think of which it would make uh society so much better. And it like could literally create more opportunities even as it takes some away. So, or like it removes some aspects.
Okay. Interesting answers. Okay. Um, Dan is saying it's Nazis, literal Nazis. I do agree. Those are quite a big problem right now. A few too many, which is to say greater than zero in the
Well,
US. So yeah, I agree.
I mean, I I think Benjamin Netanyahu basically is a Nazi now, just of a different creed. So
Yeah. Yeah, the situation going on yeah, it's quite terrible. It's every day it's awful to watch. Yeah, it is quite terrible. Um you have a couple of books. Want to tell us about your books?
yeah, I facts that aren't true, or sorry, that was my second book. My first book is Rational Answers to Stupid Questions. Big shout out to Dan because he helped. He doesn't know it, but some of his content really helped me write some stuff about against genetic entropy in that book. But
Okay.
yeah, that book is basically after I had been doing TikTok for like 2.5 years, I said to myself, I could write a book about this. And then I was like, wait, I've always wanted to write a book. Why don't I? So it's like it's not a chapter book, it doesn't tell a story. It's like a handbook. And so it contains, I think, 90 of the most common anti-scientific tropes that we tend to hear. And it covers the fields of evolution. And that's like almost a third of the entire book because there's so
Nice.
much about that. But then the Big Bang is in there, young Earth creationism is in there, flat Earth is in there. And then there's a section just on science in general.
Hmm.
And so it begins with a claim like if humans came from apes, why are there still apes?
Hmm.
Or um show me curvature, or what's another good one? Mitochondrial Eve proves a recent human creation, like just
Mhm.
stupid
Oh,
stuff like that.
hate that
About
one.
100 of them. And then so it shows that, and then it's just a comprehensive refutation of each of the claims. There's only
Nice.
one piece in there that's really small. It's only a one paragraph response, and it's a response to the claim. Uh, the reason things fall is because Earth is accelerating upward at 9.8 meters per second squared. And I basically just say, at this rate, Earth would eclipse the speed of light in under 1 year. I'm not saying anything else about this claim. It's too stupid to talk about. And then I move on. So
That is pretty funny. I like that.
so that's that. If you aren't interested in being like science communicator or debating people or anything like that, then you still will learn a ton. Like if you just like evolution, because most of the people that watch my stuff, I think they watch it because they're interested in science, but most people I don't think would know how to like combat this. I didn't like 4 years ago when I started. I was really bad at it. I would just say, "What are you, some kind of fucking moron?" And then I would but now I can
There is a
explain.
temptation.
I can now explain and prove that they are, and I know a lot more detailed facts to back up my position as well. So if you just want to learn about evolution, you'll learn a ton from the book too, and you can just have all of your arguments in the shower like most of us do. And then
I'm
the
beating my shampoo bottle in every argument I have.
oh yeah, yeah, I'm undefeated in the shower. Um, and then facts that aren't true that came out earlier this year. About it's about 120, I think. Um, these are just very cut. It's actually structured just like my first book. It's not about flat Earth or anything like that. But it
Hmm.
begins with it's broken into sections. There's the human body, history, culture, and geography, animal facts, nature, miscellaneous. And there might be one more that I forgot. I don't remember. But it
Okay.
starts off with a claim that isn't true or is like partially true, but the part of it that's not true is actually significant. And then a really comprehensive explanation behind it. So that
Okay.
book covers so many things. And it's just all this stuff we commonly hear, like you only use 10% of your brain.
Yeah.
Uh, the Great Wall is visible from space. The 5-second rule is in there.
Yeah.
There's like Native Americans were hunter gatherers. That's in there. There's a huge number of things in there, and it goes all over the place. So that was a really fun book to write. So that's just for it's a perfect like bathroom book, or if you just like want to pick it up or if you're just like learning about, it's not really a science book. There is science in it, but if you just
Mm.
like learning interesting tidbits and factoids, or if you want to be insufferable in your friend group and be like,
I
well,
do like being
actually,
insufferable.
yeah, yeah. So you can, I don't know, you can be the one that tells people, well, actually, it's not a buffalo, it's a bison, because buffalo live in Africa and Asia, and the American bison is not a buffalo. It's, if you want to be, that guy,
Right.
perfect book,
Yeah.
perfect book for you.
That's great. I love books that are written that way. One of my favorite books is Nathan Robinson's book, Responding to the Right, in which he does that. He takes a claim, whatever, and then uh, just goes on for pages and pages, like debunking it. I love the like books being written that way. Very, I don't know. I just like seeing that. I like seeing the claim and then the. I guess because in some ways, it's like how we do YouTube videos. We like respond to a claim with, we're like, okay, we're gonna play the clip of the video, and then okay, we're gonna talk about why this is, baloney. Um, Dan mentioned plug the book. Also, RJ mentioned it before we went on, and it's my channel, so I'm gonna do it. The rocks were there. Forgot where the camera is. RJ and I are working on volume 2, and it's coming along. Don't you guys worry, it'll get there. I did. I plugged the book. There you go. Buy the rocks for their volume 2. Buy Eric's books. I'll put a link to your books in the down part so that people can take a look at that. So I just want to say thank you again for coming on today. Really appreciated it.
Oh yeah, you're welcome.
And then thank you everybody in the live chat. Books as a medium are actually based on YouTube videos. Very true. Yes. Thank you for dropping by, folks. Hit the like button on your way out. Thank you all for watching, and we will see everybody next time. So bye, everybody.